Back to British Stand. It all kicked off last night in Epping. Chaotic scenes, of course, that we've seen, and already the mainstream media this morning are in overdrive and scapegoating the far right. But we all know that's not the bigger picture. You can't let the mainstream media write the narrative on the outrage that is coming out of that local town. Quickly, of course, as I seen those fights erupting and a few individuals, of course, attacking the police, I knew that this would play straight into the hands. I mean, we all did. It didn't take a rocket scientist. You know, Keir Starmer would have been rubbing his hands and going, yes, thank God we missed one here. That's why it's so important to remain peaceful. And again, Tommy Robinson has came out and reacted to the scenes yesterday, which we're going to be getting to momentarily. But also, as stated, guys, it's important that we also don't let the mainstream media write the narrative. This is what they're saying this morning here in the Post. As you can see, straight away here on The Guardian, far-right supporters attack police after protest against Essex Hotel for asylum seekers. Now, again, yes, in true, that's what kind of happened. I mean, there were anti-fascists that attacked the police, and as I said, there's always a few idiots that kind of do this. But you don't want to take away the light on what the thousands of people, elder people, people just in locals that were there also, that were sharing their outrage in the town. So it's important that we do not allow the mainstream media to control the narrative about Epping. It's a community that is angry because their children are being sexually assaulted by people staying at that hotel. Don't forget that. That's why why the outrage started. And this lady here really does tell the story beautifully. Oh, sorry.
Forgive me, and I'm not going to sing. Good for you. But listen, I just want to thank everyone for coming here today. We're all local people. We're all good, local, tax-paying people. We don't want trouble. We don't want fights. My question would be, why, and all due respect to the police, why are you allowing agitators to come and fight against us? Because you are inciting violence. We're not. You are. Mr. Starmer, I hope you hear this. Why are you letting 500-600 undocumented men come across the channel every day into this country? We don't know who they are, we don't know what their background is, but they don't share our values, they don't respect women, and they do not respect children.
Yes!
Yes! I am a mother of 3. I've got 4 nieces under 10. Every child's right is to walk to school and not fear that they're going to be sexually assaulted or raped. We do not live in a third world country. This is the United Kingdom the last time I looked. This is not about racism. I don't care if the men in that hotel over there are green, yellow or pink. We don't know who they are. They may be nice men. I don't know, no one knows. The likelihood is they're probably not. But a man gets off a boat from Ethiopia. He has come across Europe to come to this country. Why? Because we are a soft touch.
Yeah.
We give them everything that they want, and then they turn around and abuse us.
Yes. Well said. Well said.
Why are the left... I hate to make this about left and right, because it shouldn't be. But why are those antagonists coming and accusing us of racism? It's not about racism, it's about abusing children, young girls in school uniform who are trying to get to school and are being sexually assaulted by a 38-year-old man in broad daylight.
Yes!
Now, if I've got to wear a far right title, because that's what the narrative is, then so be it. Then so be it.
Thank God for independent journalism, because that's what it's all about. That is just local people that are outraged. And as I said at the start, you're always going to get a few people that take things way too far. Look, attacking police is not acceptable. However, they did bring agitators there and individuals like Stand Up to Racism that are government funded to this protest. So if you bring agitators there, and I don't know why any of these individuals are trying to go against what these people are protesting about, I'll never get it. But regardless, it's important that there was thousands of people there and largely mostly peaceful. You did have a few, of course, that took it way too far, and it was some shocking scenes. Here's a bit more footage from late last night as the riot police were in place, and then we'll get to Tommy Robinson's reaction momentarily.
Look, in all my years, I never thought we would see something like this in Epping. Look, there are literally dozens, maybe even 100 riot police in front of this hotel. Obviously a hotel marred in controversy, and a hotel that has been linked to many incidents in this town over the last few years, and especially last week. It started off as a peaceful protest, but then when the so-called anti-racist or anti-fascists turn up, Epping turned into violent disorder. I'm now being told that the police, the chief of police that is in charge here has issued a 10:30 dispersal order, meaning that anyone here after 10:30 can be arrested. Let's see if the locals decide to listen to that order. This is absolutely crazy.
So, of course, yes, it finally did disperse, and this is Tommy Robinson's reaction to all of the things that happened yesterday.
Now, UTK, let me tell you why citizen journalism is so important. Because if it wasn't for Adam Brooks, if it wasn't for Wendell, if it wasn't for all the other citizen journalists that were live streaming over the last few events down in Epping, you wouldn't know that when a young 14-year-old girl, British girl, was sexually assaulted by a migrant placed in that hotel, when families, the girl's families and friends, went to protest the housing of these undocumented invaders, when they went there, that bussed in were government-sponsored anti-racist groups who goaded and confronted the families who were upset because their daughter had been abused by a migrant. You wouldn't know that. You wouldn't even know what it's about. You'd only be getting from the mainstream media. Look at this headline. Doesn't even mention about the sexual assault of the child. Doesn't mention why people are there and they're angry. Doesn't mention that the police last night ferried in, again, government far left sponsored agitators to abuse and confront a frustrated British community whose daughters can no longer walk the streets of their own area because imported Islamic migrants are abusing them and attacking them. That is why citizen journalism is the answer. Mainstream media, like these fuckers at The Guardian, are the cancer, and every one of you with your phones are the cure. That's it. So follow and support any citizen journalists that you see on the streets building a profile. Give them your support. It's incredibly frustrating because for years without citizen journalism, you can just see the way they push their agendas. Far right, far right. How about angry local people whose daughters have been abused, whose relatives and girls that they know have been sexually assaulted by people that our government have supported importing into our nation?
So yeah, I mean, it's absolutely true. Thank God for citizen journalism. It's true. And for those of you just tuning in, Tommy there was reacting to this article here from The Guardian this morning. Far-right supporters attack police after protest against Essex Hotel for asylum seekers. Which is true, by the way. It is true. It did happen. We've seen the footage. But it takes away the point. This is why it's so important for people to behave at these things and not overstep the mark, you know? And by the way, yes, for a few people that were doing that, there was thousands of people who were locals that were standing there protesting peacefully. So that's why it's important you remain calm and you don't cause violence, because it takes away what it's all about. That was a town that were absolutely disgusted in what was going on in their small town. Remember, an individual coming into the country, I think for a little time, undocumented, and sexually assaulting one of the girls in their town. That's what the outrage was for. and it was normal people, not far-right thugs. It was mass amounts of normal people from that town that were protesting and wanting to have their voices heard. So, yeah, that's also important. Let's get into the live chat, ladies and gentlemen. Do let me know your thoughts on all of the proceedings and what happened last night, of course, in Epping. And do let me know your thoughts on the sort of aftermath with the mainstream media and what Tommy Robinson has said as well. Jenny says, AY audits got great footage and protected NEAC too. Yeah, no, great footage yesterday from AY audits. It was really good. And that's what you want to see more of. Again, there was young boys that went into the Migrant hotel a couple of days ago. We shared some of their footage here on the channel as well. So this is the sort of guys that are out on the ground doing this stuff. So it's very, very important you do go over there, support them, subscribe and all that kind of stuff, because they really are putting their freedom on the line, if you like. And sometimes they're putting themselves in danger to bring that footage to you. So it is important. AY Audits is someone that did some great work yesterday. And of course, the guys that went into the Migrant hotel a couple of days ago. Whid Behind says, standing around holding a placard isn't going to change anything. Well, yeah, I suppose you're correct in a way, but what I'm trying to say is that this plays into the government's hands and it plays into the mainstream media's hands, you know, when people start doing this. Because, you know, you've seen it last summer, you know, far-right thugs and all of these kind of things, it's always scapegoated as. And it's important that that the message gets out there. But again, sometimes with protests in general, they just don't really change anything, do they? They don't change anything. They're not listening. There's still migrants or illegal migrants coming over in the boatload on a day-to-day basis and still coming into these hotels. Heck, it was 2 days ago where we got told that there was going to be asylum seekers coming from Afghanistan. There were more of them, 24,000 over the last 3 years. So it's just continuing to happen. Stephen says, I stand with everyone in Epping. We all have to stand up and be counted. The Meteo says, propaganda MSM call people far right. However, most of us are past the point of worrying of such labels. Our children and country are more important than a label. I mean, yeah. I mean, anyone's far right these days, right? Anyone's far right these days. I think just being normal, being in the center of politics, you're now deemed as far right. If you don't, want to cut your dick off or fly LGBTQ flags and all this kind of stuff, then all of a sudden, and you don't accept LGBTQ and legal immigrants and all of these kind of things, all of a sudden, then you're far right. So I wouldn't worry about that label, to be perfectly honest with you. You just kind of have to embrace it. Miss Emma says, I think we are too far gone to remain calm. Well, all I will say, guys, if you want to put that in a position with a bit of a platform, I suppose, I do not recommend anyone going and attacking police or attacking people for that matter. Peaceful protests, absolutely, but I would never go out, I'd never tell you or people to go out and attack police officers. You should not do that. Absolutely not. Derek says, interesting that Starmer has not made his right-wing thug speech yet. I mean, what time is it? 9:30. I mean, that'll be coming imminently, probably. I mean, they're on recess now, aren't they? So he's probably jetted off to the Bahamas for a little bit of R&R. But what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, that far-right thug speech will be coming very, very soon. Although he'll probably have to be careful, because last time he got called out for it, didn't he? After Southport. So he kind of like a bit of a chameleon is Keir Starmer recently, He's playing and putting on different guises and different masks. So I wonder how he will deal with it this time around. Basically, Robert, basically. But we've been seeing all the stuff that's been happening in Spain as well. We've been seeing all the stuff that's happening in Spain. It's happening throughout Europe as well, It's happening everywhere, and European people are absolutely fed up, and rightly so. Maria says, Tommy is so right. I feel the realization of particularly the older age group within our communities have been gaslighted for decades via mainstream news, the only news format we know and believed. No, exactly. I mean, even myself, I'm younger, I suppose, in terms of a demographic in my 20s. Yeah, no, I was kind of programmed by it all, back in as close as 2021, I was pretty programmed with it, I was programmed by the mainstream media, and I listened to everything that was said. So yeah, I mean, everyone gets their awakening moment, right? And yeah, I was programmed, and I'm, I suppose, part of the younger generation, if you want to call it that. Emma says, how can you protest for not keeping children and women safe? Well, these stand up to racism mob, they essentially just go wherever people or patriots have a problem. So they like to just protest against anything. I mean, there was that one in London. That was the one where I was in total disbelief. Though they were essentially protesting against grooming gangs. There was no far right amongst it or anything like that, or whatever you want to call it, all these kind of things. It was just people that gathered in their numbers protesting against the grooming gangs. And there was a counter-protest there. That's when I realized how sick and demented some of these individuals are. And by the way, if you look at them when they're in their protests, it doesn't take a genius to look at them that they probably do need to have their hard drive checked. Now, I don't like to take all people at face value, but some of those individuals look seriously suspicious. When you just look at their face card, you can just tell they're a bit creep. It's the sort of people that you wouldn't want to leave your children near, or even for 5 minutes. They look freaking weird. Talking about these far left people in terms of that go to these counter protests. They are, frightening. And not in the good way, not in the intimidating way, just freaking creeps. Something that you would probably see on those prison documentaries where they go to prison for heinous crimes of assaulting children or something like that, and then end up getting bullied and by the other prisoners. Okay, Tommy is Jewish, I think. Lol. Shake my head. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I suppose he kind of pushes that Jewish thing, doesn't he? He likes Israel and all of these kind of things. Yeah, I like what Tommy says and all these kind of things. I mean, I don't align myself with those kind of views as such, but yeah, it is what it is, I suppose. Squarespace says he knows the protest will be outside Starmer's house if he pushes it any further. By the way, I never said Tommy was Jewish. I know he's not Jewish. I think, as I said, Julie said there, I think he's Irish. But I think he likes kind of, I don't know. I honestly, I don't really know too much about, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I think he favors Israel or something like that. I don't know. Who knows? I just seen him put up a video. I think he's trolling because everyone says that he's funded by Mossad, essentially. And he kind of put a video up earlier on today to say, he tagged him and said, get your wallet out. Everyone thinks I'm funded by you. But if you want to make a real impact, essentially fund me for this United Kingdom protest or whatever. And that's also the thing, guys. We're, as I said, most of our views all align here in this community, but you're not going to agree with absolutely everyone on every single point. What Tommy does for the UK and what he's shining lights on and that sorts of stuff. I always think with people, you take some things and you leave some things. Not everyone's opinion is going to be completely aligned. Everyone's going to have differences. So yeah, I mean, I think Tommy does great stuff for the UK. So whether you believe him or whether you align yourself with him on the kind of Israel situation or whatever, the Jewish situation, Zionist situation, whatever, then that's up to you. But you can't really deny in terms of what's going on with regard to the UK and the work he's done within the UK, especially that sort of grooming gangs and all of these kind of things. And he's a bit of a big voice, so I certainly respect that massively. Mossad, what? Where's the pic? No, he just did like a video on Twitter. 2 secs, let's have a look. There we go. Hold up, let me try and find it. Oh yeah. Get your wallet out. Get your wallet out, boys. And then he, yeah. There you go, look. Yeah. That was it, basically. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of citizen journalists, to be fair. There is a lot. It's all kicking off. Everyone's obsessed with this sort of Jewish conversation. Grooming gangs, you're funny. That's the least of this country's problem. You got Nitty's roadman, 2-tier policing. It's actually so effing cute. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of problems in the country, by the way. Yeah, I suppose. But either way, one of at the top of the list right now is for me is stopping illegal immigration, stopping these individuals coming over on the boats, because you know, this whole hotel asylum seeker stuff is just causing mass amounts of problems, and that is not under control. And we've always been promised that to be under control. Tim says, I don't agree with Tommy's Israel takes, but that's an issue that can be sorted as English gentlemen after solving the effing invasion, can't it? Exactly. There you go. I mean, that's what I would say. I say judge Tommy on his views on the United Kingdom, the work he does for our country. And then I suppose you can take it or leave it whether you like the stuff with regard to Israel and all of these kind of things. But that's, I suppose, a conversation to be had another day. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We have plenty more reaction coming up over the rest of the day. Hit the like, hit the subscribe